Are you tired of all the different jig molds out there and never knowing which one to buy? Well, if you fish around wood, then you're in the right place. If you want to learn how to make an Arky head jig, then you're in the right place as well. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to make an Arky head jig with your Do-It molds. Thank you for clicking on this video, and for anybody new, I am Matt Loon. I've got a ton of other tackle making videos on the channel. In today's video, we're talking about the Arky head jig, and my mind was blown recently on a trip to Iowa where we were throwing the Arky head jig around wood. I was super surprised at how well this jig comes through wood. In today's video, I'm showing you how to make them. I've also included a product list down in the description of today's video, along with the link to the Do-It Molds website. I want to make it as easy as possible for you guys to make these jigs for yourself. Make sure to use the link that I have down in the description so that way Do-It Molds knows that I sent you. This is the Do-It Molds Arky style jig. This mold will make 1/4 ounce, 3/8 ounce, and 1/2 ounce Arky head jigs. This is the inside of the mold, and we're going to be using the Gamakatsu 614 hook in there. We got the base hull pin already set up, and this is a 4/0 hook. Even though the mold calls for a 5/0, I just want a little bit more compact jig, so we're using a little bit smaller hook in there. Something else that you're going to need to make these jigs is something to melt your lead. This is the Lee Production Pot 4. One of the things I like to do is leave that mold up on top of the lead pot, and it heats everything up nicely. So everything should be nice and hot. It's time to pour our first 1/2 ounce jig. We're just going to get everything nice underneath that pot, get everything into that mold. We should have a pretty good complete pour after that. So now it's time to open up the mold, check out our jig. And there you have it. We got a nice complete pour. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna cut off the sprue. So on the back of this Arky head, there's just a little bit of a rough spot because of where that sprue got cut off. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a file and I'm gonna file off that rough spot to make everything nice and smooth. This right here is called a fluid bed. I like to powder paint my jigs with a fluid bed. It pumps air into the powder paint and helps get you a nice smooth layer of paint over the head of your jig. You're also going to need a heat gun, basically like a 10 to a 20 count for these 1/2 ounce jig. Kind of just depends on how hot your heat gun will get. So one of the things you need to do right away after you get these out of the paint is get that base hole pin out, so that way everything is nice and open when you go to put the Weedguard in later. So the next step in the process with these jigs is taking the eye buster tool and cleaning out the eye of the hook. And I just like to go in on both sides of the hook eye with the eye buster tool, break loose that paint, and then I'll take a hook point and just go through on both sides as well, just to clean it out just a little bit more. And then now you have a nice clean eye for that line to go through when it's time to fish these jigs. So if you're curious of the color paint that we're using for these jigs, it's called Go Time. It's a Protec powder paint, and we're about to bake these jigs. But before we do, let me know down in the comment section what you guys think of this Arky head, what you think of this paint color, and what your favorite type of jig to fish is. If you guys have been liking today's video, make sure to give the video a like. And then also, if you're new to the channel and you like this type of content, make sure to subscribe. I like to bake these twice, 350 at 20 minutes, and I like to do it 2 different times. I like to do it twice because I feel like it gets that paint a little bit harder. It makes it a little bit more durable when you're banging it on stuff. In today's video, we're going to be using pre-made skirts from 6 Sense Fishing. This color right here on the left is Jungle Craw, and the one on the right with the purple is Candy Bluegill. So when it comes to putting on that pre-made jig skirt, you need to make sure that the skirt collar is offset a little bit to one side, because you need the longer side to overlap and fall evenly with the shorter side. So what you're going to do is you're going to take that jig skirt and you're going to grab your jig that you just made, and you're going to put that hook point directly in the middle of that jig skirt and go down into that shorter side. You're going to make sure everything's kind of evenly spaced out, and then you're going to push that jig skirt all the way up till it meets the top of that jig collar. And then there you have it. We got our jig all ready to go. We just got to put that Weedguard in there. So most of the time when I'm putting in my Weedguards, I'm using 2-part epoxy. Just something simple like this Gorilla Glue 2-part epoxy sets up really fast. See, you could also use super glue, but I use the epoxy. The main thing you want to make sure of with the 2-part epoxy is that you get even parts of both sides. Since we only got 3 jigs, we don't need a ton. You want to make sure that both parts of the epoxy are mixed nice and evenly. So you position your jig so you don't get any epoxy on the skirt itself. And then I'm just going to simply put that weed guard into the hole that I made when pouring up these jigs. These Arky heads that we made in today's video can be flipped, they can be pitched, they can be dragged through brush with ease. And also don't forget about the product list and the Do-It Molds link that I have down in the description. If you guys want to see me make some jigs in my all-time favorite Do-It Mold, make sure to click on the video that's on the screen right now, and I'll see you guys in the next video. See ya!